So how many of y'all out there are Tate Brothers fans? The Tate Brothers are really big personalities in the manosphere, if you will, um, that are all about men going their own way, basically. Men going their own way, meaning men who are not into the marriage and family game anymore, but are going to, I guess you could say, monk mode it. Monk mode is another way of putting it, where basically you put your head down, get work done, and don't worry about the female species for several years, if not ever, right? Now, I was wondering, how many of you pay attention to the Tate brothers? How many of you know about them? They've been very popular, been talked about a lot in the mainstream media, the alternate media lately. And here's my perspective on them, just a brief synopsis, right? I love what they are encouraging men to do with regards to being strong, being leaders, right? Basically encouraging men about my age to not go along with the censorship apparatus that is the mainstream media, to not go along with basically anything that the media tells you to do, right? No celebrity worship, even though they're kind of celebrity themselves, blah, 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 right? But here are my gripes about the Tate brothers. I could go on with the things with which I agree, but I'm only half awake right now. It's like 6:45 in the morning. I am bothered by the fact that they, at least as far as I know, don't have kids. And the manosphere, quote unquote, is very liberal in that regard. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter any of that stuff if you don't have children to pass it on to the next generation. And that's essentially where the left goes awry. They won't have kids because they, generally speaking, hate themselves, right? And misprioritize the environment over their own lives as well as human beings. What does it matter if the environment is taken care of if there's no conscious beings to perceive it? There has to be somebody out there to even be able to appreciate what nature is, right? So, back to the Tate brothers, they don't have kids, right? And this is despite the fact that they have many women that they're with. Now that is an interesting situation. It is a sin. It's missing the mark, all right? But King Solomon, who was the wisest person of his age, back 4,000 whatever years ago, had a concubine of 1,100 women, or something like that. Had like 1,000 wives, and lots of kids. Lots of them. Like, more than you could count. More than he even knew about, no doubt. So, purposeless sex would work beyond a time-centered world, right? A world that relies on the transgression of events and a timeline. But that's not the world in which we live. Our world's not eternal. We're only here for a few generations and then we move on to the next. And if we want to leave something decent for everybody else, we gotta have kids. There are a few instances where this is not the case. If you're a Catholic priest, it breaks my heart that they don't have kids, but they don't have kids. right? Because they've dedicated their lives to God, which is a very noble thing to do. But these tend to be some of the best people out there. Smartest, most well put together people out there, and they're not going to spread their personage to the next generation. It's very sad, but I understand. And I'm kind of an unwilling participant in that. I'm a kind of a priest myself, if you will. Unwittingly, not without desire to be such. So, they have many women, the Tates, but no children. What's the purpose of that? I would say, despite everything that I've already said, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, as long as you don't spread it as something that is universalizable, because it's not. It's not something that most people should be doing. The overwhelming majority of people should be doing. It is a sin for that very reason. But there's also the essence of a very old proverb. It's actually kind of a joke, but it's true. A key that opens many locks is a master key. A lock that opens to any key is useless. Both the key and the lock are incredibly, infinitely important, but they serve different purposes. Throughout the Bible, many a person in Jesus' genealogy and many others had many wives, not simply one. The standard was one wife, but many of them had more. It's not typical, but it happens. Let's say you are a multi-billionaire with more resources than God. All right. Do you not think that you would be able to take care of more children than a middle-class person? Find the right people to educate them, to bring them up. If you don't have the time to actually be there yourself because you're building your empire or you have other obligations, it's always been the case that the woman took care of the child anyway, and that the child did not come into the father's vision until he was at least 7 years old. It's not to say that the father wasn't there. It's to say that the father was busy providing, and the mother was busy raising and rearing. So both very critical, infinitely important things to do. So while it is not universalizable, and it's not generally speaking a wise thing to be spreading it about and letting everybody know about it if you're doing it, I do understand that it's something that's workable to have many women, though they have no kids, and they're very wealthy. They have the resources and the ability to raise kids. I don't know why they haven't done it. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know everything about their lives, but that's what I know at this point. And beyond that, they're in a country that is, they work in a country that is not very supportive of different ways of living like that. I think they live in Romania, and why Romania? You know, come to the United States. Anyway, just some basic thoughts on the Tate brothers. All, one, or none. Any other number is arbitrary without expressly created definition. Either have all women, one woman, or none. And that's what I would say here. Anyways, love y'all. Peace.